Hey there, Facebook. Things are weird right now. They're not good. Things are not good. Okay, let's be really honest with each other. Things are bad. Okay, and part of what's terrible is the way the media is ignoring certain aspects of what's happening. We're portraying it as if it's not terrible. So in this country, there's a thing called posse comitatus. And I'll read it to you because I'm not exactly sure, but it basically says you can't deploy the United States military against the United States people. It's a law enacted in 1878 that limits the use of federal military personnel for domestic law enforcement, aiming to prevent military interference in civilian affairs. It allows exceptions under certain circumstances, such as the Insurrection Act. So here's the thing, guys. There's no insurrection right now. The people are clearly facing down tyranny. What we see is open fascism, authoritarianism in the streets. We have paramilitary forces acting. Actually, we see military forces, not just paramilitary anymore. We see military forces acting under direct orders to carry out operations against the civilians of this country. And it's specifically a crime. We have to be really, really bold in calling it out because the media isn't going to do it. The media isn't going to tell you this is a violation of posse comitatus. I'm looking right now, and they're justifying it. Okay, there's one from NBC. There's one from Fox News, and there's one from Reuters. These are probably all the same article. Posse Comitatus Act, does law allow Trump to send troops to LA? So this is the thing. The people of this country did not give a popular mandate to violate the law. Okay? We did not. There may have been a vote which gave the presidency to this person, but that does not give them carte blanche, the right to violate the law, specifically the people's human rights and universal rights. There's no government which can cede power to violate your rights. It's an unlawful action for them to violate your rights. So, you have a right to expect free speech. You have a right to freedom of religion. You have a right to bear arms. Might not seem like it. You have a right to travel without having to worry about unreasonable search and seizure. You have a litany of rights under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. You also have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You have a ton of rights. And when those rights are violated, we think that it will be, for instance, the media or government who speaks out against these violations, but it's just not going to happen. Nobody's going to stand up and speak for your rights and the rights of others except for us. And they're going to try and portray our standing up as a crime, but it's actually a crime for them to stomp us down. You have a right to peaceful assembly. You absolutely do. And you have a right to bear arms against a tyrannical government. These are not just like debatable or misunderstood or, inappropriate for this time. These are all things that we need to reflect on as we see a wholesale abandonment of the public by our institutions. So when we look to institutions that we're led to believe are there to protect us, and those institutions instead are working to harm us, we have to speak out about it. In this example, the government in California, people think the government in California is there to help them. They have been told that for so long. And you look to the government for help, whether it's in times of emergency, or if you're in hunger, or if you're trying to build something or create some sort of a financial relationship. You go to the government for all these permits and to pay taxes and fees, and you expect them to do things like fund schooling and build roads. But here's the thing, is that they have an obligation to the people who render their goodwill to them. So the government only exists because we support it with our hearts. We give them our hearts and minds and tell them that we believe in their institutions. And in return for that, the social contract obligates them to take care of and be good stewards of our goodwill, of our social fabric. But the government has failed to be good stewards of our social fabric. We can see the tearing of the social fabric in pulling people out of their workplaces, in pulling people out of their schools, in dragging people off of the streets, out of hospitals, and forcing them into detention and rendition. Because what we're seeing is rendition. It's not deportation. Deportation is a specific process that allows people a chance to express their defense in a court. What we're seeing is rendition, where they take people without due process and force them into other countries. Even third world countries, third party countries in Africa, where people don't have the same human rights. So we have to be really clear that what's happening right now is a violation of our social fabric. It's a violation of our social contract. We have a social contract that tells the government how they behave towards the public. And we've existed with that social contract for so long that we believe in it, we support it, we invest in it. But now they've taken our investment of the goodwill of the people and turned that investment against us. So now we need to do our part, which is to take care of each other. We have to stop putting our goodwill towards institutions that oppress us, and rather put our goodwill towards supporting each other. So, it's just wild to me how many institutions are no longer acting in the interest of the social fabric and the public. For a long time, I've looked at institutions like National Public Radio as being somewhat trustworthy, and a place that I could invest my heart and my mind and my thoughts and understanding what they're doing for the betterment of our country. But when I look now to them, I can see how they are openly covering for misdeeds. They're covering up for criminal behavior, okay? What the federal government is doing right now goes against international law, civil law, and it violates the social contract. So we have to look at this as it is, and not turn a blind eye to the things that we're unaccustomed to seeing, because we're not used to looking at the media and saying that they're working against us. But you can see it plainly, because the people are not in the streets doing harm, they're trying to prevent harm. And the military is in the streets doing harm, and the police are in the streets doing harm. They're not trying to prevent harm. But the media has juxtaposed the reality. They're portraying it as if the police are preventing harm. But if you look, you can see the police show up and immediately there becomes a conflict where before the people were mostly just parading, blockading, sitting in, not doing destruction or looting or vandalizing. They're mostly just trying to prevent tyranny. So when you see the military deployed to the streets of this country, what happens is the people of the country become susceptible to military force. The rules of engagement for a police officer are different from the rules of engagement for a Marine. The Marines are trained to gun you down. The police, these guys actually all train with the Israeli occupational army. So they have common tactics amongst each other. They have common trainers amongst each other. They have common weapons amongst each other. They're used to working with each other in foreign deployments. They train in other countries doing things that you wouldn't be allowed to do in the US. And now they're allowed to. But the media isn't going to tell you that. You can't just turn to NPR anymore. Like I'm so used to turning to NPR and trying to trust them with reporting, but they actually betray the facts. The facts are it's a crime for the president to deploy the military against the public. The facts are that you cannot send the Marines against Americans, especially who are asserting their First Amendment rights. But you don't see it portrayed that way. You see it portrayed as if these are people who are standing between a dangerous element of the public and property, and they're protecting property from these dangerous rioters. But the reality is that people who are trained to gun down people are now standing in defense of unconstitutional acts. Okay? What ICE is doing goes against the Constitution. You have a Fifth Amendment right. You have a Fifth Amendment right. You have a right to due process. Everybody does. And the president can't just take away your right to due process. The same way he can't just take away the right to be free from military in your streets of your own country. These are all things that the media should be portraying as a severe betrayal of our rights by the government. But instead they're placating you. And the way that they placate you is by portraying it as if the people who are standing up in resistance to tyranny are the threat. Tyranny is the threat. It's not the people trying to stop tyranny. The people trying to stop tyranny are good people. The people supporting tyranny are bad people. It's easy. It's easy. If you support tearing families apart, if you support taking children out of schools, sick out of hospitals, law-abiding out of courts, if you support checkpoints with people checking your papers so that they can throw you into a gulag, I have some bad news for you. You support tyranny. And if you support tyranny, you're on the wrong side of history. And we've got to get super clear about it so that we're not lying to ourselves. So that we're not lying to ourselves and lying to each other and accepting the lies that are being broadcast at us. We have to be crystal clear about what this is. This is tyranny. It's fascistic. It's absolutely 100% terror. It's a military terror campaign being carried out by assets of the federal government with support of state and local law enforcement and the media. That's what it is.